What is up? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. It's a Friday. We got more supplemental reports from the Moscow Police Department. But we're going to start off with a video that I made over 2 years ago. I made this video in 2023, right after the probable cause came out. And if you try to use Google Maps right now, you're unable to see, first of all, the house, but more importantly, the way that it would direct you to go to the house back then is going to be different on Google Maps than what it is now. So I want you guys to take a look at something that was preserved. Here it is. DoorDash driver got lost. I made this over, like I said, it was right after the PCA came out and we found out that Xana got a DoorDash. So when I did my research, I said, you know what? If I was delivering food and I just typed in the address where the Google Maps or whatever you're using, the way that it takes you is it tells you to turn right past the house and it has you coming in from the other side of the house. And that's exactly what Michael said. And I want you guys to see it. So here is, we're going to start it off. It's a quick little video. It's 5 minutes that I made. And I want you guys to take a look at this. And then we're going to jump right into the notes, or I should say the reports, the notes. Again, make yourself known. Thumbs it up, thumbs it down. You're going to have an opinion. I will never tell anybody to thumb something up. You make the call. So use your thumb. Also, let me know where you're at, where you reside in the chat. Don't dox yourself, but throw up a state, throw up a country, throw up something. Here we go. These notes. Check it out, video. You make the call. So this is the angle that if you're coming like from the street into it has you go past the house. You can see it has you walking through the brush. Okay. So when she passed it up the way that it was when she's talking about it, like had you walking in the back, this is what it looked like to do it versus like just turning into like the driveway. And I think I have a pretty good reason on why that was. Remember, this house was redone. And that's why I believe that it would be like this, because this house was redone. So it could also be, remember how they said in the report that Molly then turned into the driveway and then a car came in right behind her in the last report that we read. But remember also Molly got out and was walking around because at first she went all the way down and passing the Queen Road apartments to make then come back around to the loop back here. And it was because of these directions. Did the DoorDash driver pass up the residence and turn around at Queen number 52 and then pass up the little side street again that gets to the back of the house? Molly says in her report or in her interview, did she then, well, now it's coming out that, yeah, she took out a flashlight. She's walking all around. But did she then try to turn around in a tight road after her GPS alerted her that she missed it again, which was right in front of the house, only it was too tight of a turnaround. So then she drives down to the bigger area of the intersection of the two roads to make a 3-point turn. Or would anybody be doing this in the situation if you were to get a ride home, if you had a share driver? Okay. So this wouldn't just happen with Molly McMichael. It would happen with anybody that was pumping in addresses, especially this one in that area, and where your GPS is taking you, it's telling you to turn on that side street. And it's you, everybody does this in life. We always miss a street. Right. So when we would see that, we would have actually passed up that side street and then went past the apartments to then like come all the way around again. Is that because of the way the GPS was working in terms of when you type in that address. I believe yes, and I believe that this is the proof of that. I'm so glad that I made this video back then, so people can't just say, "Oh, you're just a armchair quarterback today." Nah, bitches. I said this then because it's logic. We're very logical over here at Truth and Transparency. Because it wouldn't just be Molly that would have done this. Anybody that's not used to that area, pumping an address, and that's what it's showing you. You pass up that street, you have to make that loop around. To get back even over there, then you're like, then your GPS gets lost. It doesn't know where you're at. It's a big mess. So Molly says that she was in the area for an additional 15 minutes, she felt. But Molly also said that she got out of her vehicle, got a flashlight, and was walking around with a flashlight. And now that's interesting because on Linda Lane, again, to the transparency, put it out there, I was like, somebody is walking around with a flashlight. And people are like, no, that's bugs, making the Linda Lane video. I'm like, y'all can think that's bugs. Maybe you guys live with bugs. That's a flashlight. I see a flashlight. I see somebody walking around with a flashlight. There you go. There's your pencil. It happens to us every single day when we use our GPS. Pass up the street. As it approaches faster, and we're oh crap, I mean, it's hidden, it's stuck. That's what I see here. This little side street here is hidden, it's stuck. If you've ever been there, I've been there. You can easily pass that up. You can't really see it because the house is back so much. And that's why Molly made that first pass by, and she went all the way through it. She wasn't following the blue. She continued on the Queen Road and then had to circle around just like everybody else. And she comes back down here. And then that's when she gets out of the car to start walking around. And it's imperative that we actually hear Molly's words, because these are just reports that are written and they are not verbatim. And police officers pick and choose what they want to take out of the interview and put into a typed up report. And depending on when this person actually did the report, typed it up, was it how far after the fact, how much were they really relying on it to be, skimping through things like that. That's the recipe. You can see that's where the GPS takes you. And again, that just wouldn't be for a DoorDash. That would be for if you have a shared driver. Okay. If you're using Uber, this is where it would take you. And so when we see people making these loops and stuff like that, these cars or whatnot, if you're putting in this address, you're going to make that loop. These sightings show a suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta. Based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with very limited number of vehicles. That's opposite of what they said in the press conference 2 days ago. Don't forget that. They said there was very limited traffic. Well, at 4 o'clock on 11/13, there was a lot compared to what they're saying here. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time, and that's the 4:04 time. It can be seen driving eastbound on Queen, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, and then driving back westbound on King Road. This is everything also that Molly said she did, but they're going to say that, well, this is the sedan that did it. And Molly said, yeah, it was a tan sedan. So it's all just interesting. Also, after reading the reports, the reason that Ann Taylor said there'd be admissibility issues is I believe that Ann Taylor was going to be arguing a lot to do with 1112 King Road cameras in terms of their reliability, how they were obtained. Um, we haven't, when Linda Lane came out, there was a ton of footage. 1112 King Road, we've never seen like this continuous footage. What got leaked on Dateline, and Taylor was arguing that that's not even going to be admissible. And so I'm very curious where that argument was going, because after reading these reports, which we're about to get into now again, I think I know where she's going with it. Okay. Yeah, we'll just stop right there. We'll let these reports speak for themselves. After seeing the GPS and how it would instruct you to physically get to that house and walk into that home, it's exactly what Molly and Michael said. You would be coming up and you would like go into the back, almost go to that courtyard area, she was calling it. And when it's all lit up like it was and had the lights and the dangling lights, and yeah. But Molly didn't feel comfortable doing that. So she says that she then gets back in her vehicle and then drives down. And then this is the part I didn't get. If she, on her initial drive around, is in the back of the house, parks, walks down like she said that she did. She said she took out her flashlight. And she didn't feel comfortable walking in the back. So then she goes back to her car, because I'm like, well, then why wouldn't you just walk around the house to then just go to the front door? You know what I mean? If you have your flashlight out, why would you go back into your car, drive down to the driveway that she doesn't know exists, because at first she said that she didn't see that and didn't see the numbers, and then pull into the driveway? Why wouldn't you, if you've already gotten out of your car and you're already there with your flashlight and that's the house, you just don't feel comfortable going in the back door? Well, then you go into the front door by just walking around the house. So I just have questions about that. I think that's interesting. And then this is when she says she pulls finally into the driveway, and she saw a girl with long hair, dark hair. And when she was looking through the window, whether it was the top floor, whatever window you want to say she was saying, this person was ducking down. And Payne's saying that it was the top floor, the bathroom. And this would have been at 4 a.m. Okay. Long, dark hair. Molly said that she did not recognize it to be any of the victims. And then she said each time that she would make eye contact with this person, they would duck. And I said, I think Molly means that this person was on the second floor, because the stairs to go downstairs to go get your DoorDash is right next to the window. And it could seem like you're ducking down if you're actually looking out the window like, dude, I walk downstairs, open up my door, my food's not there, you're in my driveway still. Then I come back up the stairs, I look out, and you're still there. And I'm like, what the hell is my DoorDash doing? So Molly thinks that she's ducking, but really she's going down the stairs to the front door, then back up, down, up, like that type of thing. That is what Molly, in my opinion, is seeing. And this person wouldn't be up on the third floor. This person would have been right by the window that goes and leads down to the first floor to open up the door to get your DoorDash. That makes logical sense to me. But for whatever reason, that's why I want to hear Molly's words, because I want to know if Payne is the one that's putting it that, oh, she's speaking about the third floor up top. Did Molly say that, or is Payne just assuming that because he puts it in parentheses? So here we go. Again, this was just a video I made a couple years ago, right after the PCA, and I was like, I believe that the DoorDash was lost because of the GPS. I just think it makes sense that the DoorDash would have been lost, and here we come to find out she was lost. Okay, because if you follow the GPS, you're going to go in just like how Molly said she went in. She took a flashlight out, though. I'm guessing as a DoorDash driver at night, you would carry a flashlight. She says this took 15 minutes. 15 minutes. We don't think, sometimes people think that 15 minutes is a long time. Sometimes people think 15 minutes is not a long time. I'm of the boat of, it depends on what you're doing if 15 minutes is a long time or not. Okay? Some people could say, hey, oh my God, I would kill for 15 minutes in bed. Other people are like, dude, I'll just take 3. What is it that you're doing? That determines if I think 15 minutes is long or not. To be walking around with a GPS and you're at the house, 15 minutes to find the door, I think that's an extended period of time to do that. But did she say the 15 minutes was before or after she dropped off the physical package? Because then that's another part of it. And we don't get that from Payne. So here we go. And then could Molly be involved? Could she be the lookout? Again, we will jump into it and the reads of life. All right. So if you haven't seen the first 2 videos, go check them out. We are picking up where we left off. And I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to be using Hector. And we're going to be kicking off with report 78. And this is packing up personal items at 1122 King Road. I want you to take a look at the date that it was written, 12/19. And this is on December 7th. Here we go. On December 7th, I assisted with packing up and moving personal belongings from 1122 King Road to the MPD secure storage unit. It was a garage. And this is Danny Vargas, female detective. On December 8th, I spoke with RM, who is in blank for blank. This person, M, with the last name RM, initially wanted to retrieve some items for M, but then stated M would come and retrieve all of her items sometime after the holidays. On December 15th, I spoke with TV, who is blank for blank, asked if we could send blank her reading glasses, passport, and iPad to blank with the investigator who would be coming to interview her. Captain Lanier and I retrieved the reading glasses and passport from blank personal items at the MPD secure storage. I sent an email to blank stating we would be sending the glasses and the passport, but could not release the iPad yet, as it was one of the items seized during the search warrant. So I was able to then note that this person is one of the iPads. So I made a note of that, because you're going to see when I list off all of the evidence that was taken in, over 900 pieces. So blank asked when blank could get the rest of her personal belongings, and I told her, or I told him rather, that she could contact me and we could make arrangements to return all of the items which are in our secured storage. I gave blank glasses and passport to ISP Mike Mooney, who would be giving the items to the appropriate ISP investigator who would be traveling to blank, that's CDA, to speak with blank. So the last thing that Vargas did on this was December 15th, okay? And this all had to do with the same situation. So she wrote her report on the 19th. I think that's good turnaround. Better than the other stuff we're seeing. This is report 79. On December 1st, this would be Lawrence Mowry. I requested an amended warrant for the Meta, for the Facebook. And so these are the accounts. On December 2nd, I received the sign warrant. On December 4th, he logged into the Meta and, served it. During the service of the warrant, I found I was not able to add the phone number of blank as an identifier for Jack Decor account. This information was not entered into the portal. I would why? There's no reason as to why. Interesting. On December 8th, 2022, Meta sent an email stating the files were ready to be downloaded. I logged into the portal and downloaded the files provided pursuant to the warrant. These files were downloaded to a computer in the secured computer forensic lab at the Moscow Police Department, and an examination of the data will be conducted at my earliest convenience. This is the other thing I want to point out, just so everybody is aware. There has not been, out of these 78 so far reports, everything that they have received as far as search warrants, downloads, whatever, unless it was something that was quickly provided, like the Uber stuff for Eric Grower. He was officially not on the clock after 1:15 that night. So that was just an easy lookup for them, and they wrote it in their report. Everything that they were doing as far as extractions or when they were going to look at the material, nothing has been looked at. So I consider this the gathering of evidence phase of the investigation. You're just preserving and getting all the information. And then you're going to, like he says, at my earliest convenience, I'm going to go through the material. So, because I said, you need to look at reports where you find, hey, I was doing X, Y, and Z, going through X, Y, and Z, and I found X, Y, and Z. We haven't come across that yet. So just letting everybody know that. This is gathering of evidence information. They're not going through it. Now remember, this is the interesting one for me. This is the Reddit one, Lawrence Mowry on December 1st. He says he applied and was granted a warrant. He actually wrote it up. November 20th, the search warrant, the date, and didn't serve it until he held on to it for 10 days. This is that warrant. Because I was like, why are they going for Kaylee's Reddit and only Kaylee's Reddit so early on, November 20th? So on December 1st, I applied and was granted a warrant for all information in Reddit's possession consisting of information related to the crime. Kaylee basically hardly had anything. She just had started up this Reddit. I think there was 2 things. But on December 19th, I received an email from Reddit containing the data requested. Now that's going to be interesting because that's the same day they found out Brian's name. The files were downloaded to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to Reddit, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. Ready? He got it back on the 19th, and he wrote up his report on the 19th. Very interesting for me. You would think that they'd be super busy, but Lawrence Mowry writes up this report on the 19th right when he gets it. What it looks like is they have certain days that they sit down, because then again on the 19th here, and this was something that he did on December 5th. On December 5th, I applied and was granted a warrant and data related to the email address of blank. On December 5th, at approximately this time, the warrant was served. On December 19th, I received an email from Google stating the data. Now, when he says I received an email on that date, I'm just curious if it's the date that Google actually sent that to you or if you just opened it that day. You know what I mean? I'm curious if they would be so technical to say, Google got back to me on the 10th. I didn't open up the email until the 19th. You know, would you be so? That's how I would be filling out my paperwork. But, yeah. So again, on the 19th, he gets something, and he's writing up his report. And so you could see here, this was the enter key was at 12:39 and 54 seconds. The enter key was at 1:42. So like he's sitting at his desk and he's typing up these reports right here. Just so you guys are following. And the way that you, when you start a case, and you can be any person in the investigation, and when you're writing up a supplemental report, whatever number is available that it's left off on, that's the number that becomes your report. So what you will start seeing in this is, oh wait, Lana, why are we on report 164 and it's dated, the action of it was on November 13th? Yeah, right? Well, because they waited that long to write up the report, and all of those supplementals and other officers had already, made a human move to say, I'm going into this case file, boom, and I'm writing up my supplemental report with whatever I did. So so when I do stuff like this, I separate their discovery is in the terms of supplementals all in a row, 1 through 314. I then make my own discovery and I put it in order based on the action. So everything that was done on November 13th, I don't care what the report number says. I then renumber them and I have a different, and then I put it all in chronological order. Gives you a really good idea of what was going on. Okay. So Lawrence Mowry, this was on December 1st. He did, this is 82. So he says, let's look at this. Okay. So remember over here, on number 80, he talks about what he did on December 1st, that he applied for that search warrant, right? Now here on number 82, he's going to be talking about on December 1st, 2022, I applied and was granted a warrant for all information in Reddit's possession consisting of information related to the crime of, and it was Kaylee's. Okay. And then he put, there's a mobile phone number, there's the email address, and it was from January 1st of 2021 to December 1st of 2022. On December 1st, at approximately 14:09 hours, the warrant was served via the email, okay, which would be 2:09. 2:09. On December 19th, I received an email from Reddit containing the data. In reviewing the data, I found the account was registered on November 18th, 2020. So he wrote this report on 12/20. So he reviewed the material within 24 hours and wrote up a report within 24 hours. In reviewing the data, I found that it was November 18th. And there was just one message post located, which was posted on January 22nd, 2021, under the subreddit blank with the following text. Any idea what would cause these types of acne? Never struggled with acne before. And so it was just about, she put that on a subreddit post, okay? The only other message I located appeared to be an automated message from Reddit on December 11th, 2021, with the subject line of "Your 2021 Reddit recap is here." So she used Reddit one time. And I'm not sure if you're able to then, if they went as far as to say, okay, well, just because she didn't write anything, were you able to like look and see what she was like, I don't know, searching on there, what she would read? I don't know if you can do that. But they were hoping to find a connection. Ready? To who? Brian Kober's what? Did she ever respond to Brian Kober's, Reddit crap, right? Well, now we have to go back and think about, let's go talk about Chief Jenkins. Remember what Gary Jenkins? Well, why would she be asking for Kaylee's Reddit, of all things, Kaylee's Reddit, and want it on November 20th, but then don't serve it till December 1st? Make no mention that, I must have put the wrong date in when I applied for my search warrant, okay, because it was dated November 20th, that you obtained it, and that you just didn't serve it upon Reddit until December 1st. Like, that's what the actual paperwork has that we all got to see. You make no mention of that in your report when you're typing it up, that there was a Scrivener's error. And this is what got me immediately on the path of, they knew his name whole hell of a lot earlier because they wanted Kaylee's Reddit. They didn't want Dylan's. They didn't want Bethany's. They didn't want Ethan's, Xana's, nobody's. Why would you only be looking for Kaylee's Reddit? Right? I don't know why he's writing this again. Because on the 19th, he says that I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. And then I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy to the Reddit. Well, didn't you already do that? You did it again on the 20th? Now, is it because you found more material because you actually opened it up and looked at it? But I would just think that whatever your return is, it would be here. This is what the return is. Me doing work to look through it, I have to send that to. And that's why I think that's why this is weird to me. That's why I think this is all like copy, cut, and paste. But again, I could be wrong. That's why I leave it open-ended, I just have questions about that. Again, this is all surrounding that Reddit. They were on, and they don't file to act like they, don't you think it's weird they got Brian's name the same day that, we got Kaylee's Reddit return on the same day? Or did you just open up the email? Because you have to make it seem like you didn't go after Kaylee's Reddit until, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think they made a mistake there. And we can just assume, and they can just say, no, we didn't do that because of that. And then you just have to ask this question. Well, why didn't you go get Ethan, Xana, all the other victims' Reddits? And then, we didn't think it was pertinent. Okay, well, that's not going to be a good answer in front of, I don't think, a jury. I think it's going to look, okay. Well, when it came back that Kaylee was talking about acne for one post, did you think maybe Xana, Ethan, or Maddie, when you found out about that Reddit survey, did you then try to get their accounts because maybe they actually responded to his survey? And if you don't have that and you didn't do that, then I think that that's weird. So we'll see if they did. So that's just a little bit of my thought process there. Lawrence Mowry, again, this is on 12/20. On December 15th, I was requested to complete a forensic extraction on a Samsung cell phone provided by LB. B signed a consent to search, uploaded it. The phone was powered on, and I placed it into airplane mode to protect any potential evidence on the phone. There you go. I took photos of the device and attached them to the case file. The phone required a passcode to access the data on the device. They provided the passcode. And then examining the Samsung Z Flip phone 4, whatever, I first looked for identifiers. So they labeled it all. It was a black color with a black colored case. This is the phone serial number. This is the email. Yada, yada, yada. In continuing with my examination of the phone, I made the following changes to the phone settings. Developer mode was turned on. USB debugging was turned on. Stay awake was turned on. Auto update system was turned off. Verify apps was turned off. These changes allow the phone and the forensic computer to communicate and share information properly. The phone was then connected to the forensic computers running the following forensic software tools, which was Axiom, Cellbrite, Physical Analyzer version. This extraction was saved to a computer located in the Secure Computer Forensic Lab at the Moscow Police Department. It wasn't put on anything else. An examination of the data will be conducted, at my earliest convenience. So this was the answer to everything that we're seeing right here. So they're preserving everything. They're downloading it. And then I would just say, well, did you check to make sure that it worked? I mean, how does that work? But they didn't read any of the information. They just got the material. Again, the gathering of evidence phase. And this is why I think everybody should be scratching their heads, because if you're not going through any of this, how are you eliminating people? Lawrence Mowry, again, 12/20. So see, on the 19th, back to back, now 12/20, he's sitting down and he's letting us know something that he did and that started on November 26th, almost a month later of this report was written for this action. Okay. I applied and was granted a warrant for any data associated with knife sales of the following items. On November 26th, at approximately this time, the warrant was served via FedEx account, forensic account blank, MD, with the Federal Bureau of Investigation assisted in the production and service of the warrants. See, so here he mentions that he used the FBI. On December 8th, I received an email from, is that Douglas? The email was in a response from blank stating that the data was available to download. I received a second email with the data returned, because remember, since the FBI served it, he's getting it from Douglas because Douglas got it back because the FBI served it. Douglas works for the FBI. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. And we're going to ask a professional, an expert, on why certain things were done like this with certain warrants, okay? So stick around when that interview happens. Who is this? Tyson Bear? Okay. This was report 86. On 12/13, I emailed, I think it's about getting Yeah, this is about getting property back. And so that was Jeff. Danny Vargas, same thing. This is property released to an attorney. See, property released to attorney. See, DM, attorney. Why is that important? Well, I'm just pointing out that it's smart. Dylan Mortensen, the property was released to her attorney. On December 21st, 2022, at approximately 11:30, I met with RM DM blank at the city, I'm guessing, at the city of Moscow shop and released the following items to her. Blank passport, I'm guessing it's her passport, Ziploc bag of jewelry, small black purse, Nike Air Jordan shoes, North Face black puffy coat. M signed for the items. M said she would meet with blank and find out when she would be collecting the remainder of the items. Lawrence Mowry, 12/22. Now, remember what Cyree said? I believe that the wheels fell off this whole train on December 23rd is when the wheels fell off, right? So we're getting close to that date. Okay? Wheels falling off. On December 22nd, like he wrote the report up at the same time as his action. On December 22nd, I was tasked with reinstalling the exterior camera known as the Lightbulb camera at 1112 King Road to capture some comparison videos and audio. I contacted one of the tenants who gave me permission to access her residence and conduct the recording. Upon arrival, I unplugged the power to the current router and removed the camera from the light socket on the exterior of the residence. I then powered on the router I had secured from the residence earlier and installed the camera I secured as evidence earlier into the light socket. While installing the camera, I hear a crack and felt the light bulb base mount become loose. I can't make this up. Like, now he notes that it was 5 and 9 degrees outside. It should be noted the approximate temperature outside while installing that camera was between 5 and 9 degrees. I previously had installed a new SD card into the camera and powered on the router and camera at the Moscow Police Department to ensure that the camera was functional. I'm sure that he recorded himself doing that, right? Why I'd be making a report of everything I did in this case. It's murder. It's crazy. I then was able to monitor the camera using the HomeEye Pro app on my phone. Corporal Brett Payne was able to drive a white-colored vehicle into the view of the camera. Sergeant Dustin Blaker parked a vehicle near the residence and closed the doors and trunk on a vehicle for audio comparison. So why would you be comparing closing the door and the trunk, right? Well, because the only thing I can think of, right, is there was sounds that sounded like, could this be a door opening and could this be a door closing? The trunk, but if you're talking about Molly McMichael, you would need an SUV. So I'm just throwing that out there. But that's going to be a completely different type of a closure. And if they had like the automatic button that came down and there's no type of a slamming, so it just comes down and it gets into place all by itself, nice and neat. I then was able to monitor the camera using the home. Okay, I said that. Sorry. Sergeant Dustin Blaker parked a vehicle near a residence, closed the door and trunk on the vehicle for a canine unit from Lewis County Sheriff's Office was utilized to capture barking audio comparison from the residence. Why don't you just go get Murphy? Upon completion of the data collection, I powered off the evidentiary router. And now I'm curious as to this router. Are you actually... So I'm guessing that they used the router that they originally took. That's why I powered off the evidentiary router and removed the camera from the light socket. In doing so, the base detached from the camera and a wire became disconnected. So not only did it break up here, but now we have a wire becoming disconnected. I gathered the router and camera, placed them back into their evidentiary bags, and returned them to the secure computer forensic lab. I reinstalled the current camera and reconnected the power to the new router. I contacted the person that lived there to ensure that she could access her camera, and she responded in the affirmative. Payne and I then ensured the residence was locked and left the residence without further incident. Upon returning to the Moscow Police Department, I was able to download the videos collected, and they were saved to the server located in the server computer forensic lab. So again, this is one of the discovery requests, right, of Ann Taylor saying, I want X, Y, and Z. When you're writing up your supplemental requests, if you didn't get it. Dustin Blaker, oh my gosh, here we go. This is where I just couldn't believe it. So I want you guys to take a look. Ready? You guys see 88 here? Okay, 88. That's when I just read Lawrence Mowry, 12:22, 88. Then, number 89. Do you see that? Okay. Wrote up 12:28. Do you see that? Okay. As an investigator that people can say, I am or I am not, no police department pays me. Okay. But if you were in trouble, would you want me? I have no problem saying you absolutely would. This is in chronological order, 88, 89. Okay. There is one case number, and this is the case number, the 22-MO9903. Okay. Every time you would go in to write your supplemental report up, okay, you'd be going under here, like I said earlier, and then right when you're about to start typing into this, the software that they use, it generates, hey, now you're on number 90. Okay, so if I wrote a report at 11:08 and 40 seconds, I'm probably going to get number 90, right? Between 88 though and 89, there's no other number. There's no 88.5. There's no 88.1. It's 88. It's 89. Nobody from the Moscow Police Department, nobody, okay, wrote a report. So between 12:22 and 12:28. Nobody. When Cyree said, I think the wheels started coming off, you could probably say the date the wheels started coming off, 12:23. They were working through the holidays. As you can see, the next report, 12:28. We're going to go through this. The next report, 103. See that? All right, just so I want everyone to break it down. I want to break it down. The reason that you'd want to hear me read it versus anybody else is because of the information I'm providing with the reading. You guys can read all of this shit on your own. It's going to be, hey, you may have questions, and maybe because of something that I said while pointing out the material, you're like, oh my God, yeah, I read that. And I was like, that's crazy. Or I didn't even notice that when I read it. Okay. So Lawrence Mowry, 12:22. The light bulb. Okay. 12:28. You have all the rest of the day on 12:22. Well, because this was actually at 10:48. So you have 12:23, 24, 25, 26, 27. And then it could have possibly been in the morning, but you're looking at 5 days. Okay. 5 days, nobody wrote a report during those 5 days. Not even for something that they did. So we see how reports are written, not when you just write happen. You know what I mean? Like it could take some time, some days, but nothing was wrote. So what's going on? What are they doing? or out in the field, right? You got to be, you can't be sitting at your desk writing up reports. What were you guys doing anything? Who was running the show? If I'm not doing anything, I have no report to write up. Let's be honest. Okay. So Dustin Blaker, for the first time, writes a report on 12/28. You can look all through here, and unless I missed one, I can't find a report by Dustin Blaker until 12/28, and that's his, look at, November 13th. Okay. A fence jumper. That's the last thing Lana is. They have no idea what I'm talking about. They have no idea what I'm doing either. On November 13th, he comes in, or on December 28th, he comes in, sits at a desk at 11 and says, now remember what's going on December 28th. They're getting ready to, we're taking down this mofo. He's like, okay, well, I think I have to write up my report on what happened on November 13th. At around 13:47 hours, I interviewed BF at the Moscow Police Department in regards to the death of 4 of her roommates. So wait a second. This is now, remember we read the report yesterday that was from her getting interviewed Nevada, and with the help of that, okay? And so it's like, oh wait, here's her initial interview at the police station on November 13th. Okay. Bethany was home, sleeping in her room located on the basement floor of the residence. Bethany has an iPhone 11 Pro cell phone with passcode blank. Bethany went to the blank party at around 10:30 with Ethan and Xana. They hung out in an apartment for a while together, and then Bethany went up to the main part of the fraternity to hang out at the party. Hold on 1 second. This might be helpful if I do this for you guys. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Bethany went to the blank party at around 10:30 with Ethan and Xana. They hung out at the apartment for a while together, and then Bethany went up to the main part of the fraternity to hang out at the party. Maddie and Kaylee went to the corner club together, not sure when they left. Bethany did not see Ethan and Xana at the party and left to go to blank residence at the Whites, and that would be the KF. Bethany walked home at around 1-ish, and when she got back to 1122 King Road, Dylan and her friend were at the residence, and they all watched a movie together. Okay, they watched a movie together. Now, again, remember, he could just be typing this up versus him writing, vampire diaries or whatever. That's why you need to actually like see the video. Maddie and Kaylee got to the house around 1:45 or 2. Then Blank left the house and Dylan went to bed. Now, the order that you're like saying this happened is that this person was still there when Maddie and Kaylee came home. Bethany hung out with Maddie and Kaylee for a while in Kaylee's room. She does not say that Dylan was up there. So again, Bethany hung out with Maddie and Kaylee for a while in Kaylee's room because she's saying that after this girl left the house, Dylan went to bed. Bethany, okay. Bethany and Maddie took Murphy, Kaylee's dog, out to go to the bathroom between 2:30 and 3. Now remember all the phone calls that were happening between this time. Now also remember this. 2:53, Bethany calls, Maddie calls Bethany. So Bethany did not stay outside very long as it was cold. Maddie then went to bed. Doesn't make sense. I don't know if he's means to say Bethany, but Maddie went to bed and watched a TV show to help her sleep, Baby Daddy. At around 4 or 4:20, Bethany heard what she thought was a firework and saw a spark on the ground from under her door. Bethany then heard Murphy barking. Dylan called Bethany and stated that she had seen someone in the house, and Bethany told her she could come down to her room and sleep with her. Dylan went to Bethany's room and went to bed. They woke up at around 11 and talked to other friends who came over, and they checked on Xana and Ethan and found them deceased. Bethany originally called 911 and stated her friend was passed out and would not wake up. Bethany talked about an incident with Kaylee, who stated about a month ago she saw an unknown male above their house to the south who was staring at her when she took Murphy out to go to the potty. Bethany stated Kaylee broke up with her longtime boyfriend about 3 months ago because she was planning on moving to Texas. Bethany could not provide me with anything else at that time. Okay. Okay. This is Jenna McClure's interview. Jenna McClure said that Jenna said that she texted Bethany at 11:20. This is on the same day in the police department. Jenna said that she texted Bethany at 11:20 on the morning of 11:13. Jenna asked Bethany if she was awake. Jenna said Bethany called her back at 11:49. Bethany told Jenna she and Dylan were in Bethany's room. Jenna said Bethany was freaked out because her roommates were not answering the phone. Jenna said she heard Dylan on the phone in the background saying, "I saw something." Jenna said that Bethany asked her to come over to the house and pick them up. Jenna said Bethany texted her while she was driving there and said that Emily and Hunter were on the way as well. Jenna said as she was arriving, MPD units were arriving as well. Jenna said that she did not go to the blank party, but went to a different one instead. Jenna said Bethany and Dylan came to this other party after she left blank. Jenna estimated Dylan left her party at 12:30 and Bethany left her party at about 1. Now, going back. Bethany, same day. This was a different officer that she spoke with. So Lawrence Mowry did Jenna's and Dustin Blaker did Bethany's. Now looking back at this, Bethany went to the blank party at around 10:30 with Ethan and Xana. They actually went to one of the rooms, not in the big like lodge area. So they hung out. When they say like that apartment, it's an apartment like where they sleep at the Sigma Chi house. So they hung out in an apartment for a while together, and then Bethany went up to the main part of the fraternity to hang out at the party. Maddie and Kaylee went to the corner club together. Not sure when they left. Bethany did not see Ethan and Xana at the party and left to go to KF residence at Taylor Avenue. Bethany walked home at around 1-ish, and when she got back to 1122 King Road, Dylan and this person were at the residence, and they all watched a movie together. Again, here's Jenna's statement. Jenna said she did not go to the Sigma Chi party, but went to a different one instead. Jenna said Bethany and Dylan came to this other party after she left the Sigma Chi party. Jenna estimated that Dylan left her party at 12:30 and Bethany left her party at 1. So far, so good. To be clear about people's sororities, people did drop out. Jenna said that she was in whatever sorority with Dylan and Bethany and Xana, but that Xana and Maddie they had dropped out, and Kaylee was in her other sorority, but they had dropped out as well. Jenna suspected the girls dropped out from their respective sororities because of issues with other girls in the house. That's all. Moving on. That's what we said happened, that there was issues. I would have dropped out too. I would have never went, but whatever. So moving back over here to Dustin Blaker. Okay. $12.28. Report 90. On November 16th at around 11:55 hours, I met with BF at her blank office at blank, blank, blank. Present during the interview, besides me and Bethany, were her blank, 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 and Matthew. One with the Nevada State Police Investigation Division. Oh. Bethany stated that the above named people were the only ones who knew the code. Bethany stated the code for the front door was the same code from the year before. I asked Bethany what the code was, and she stated it was blank. Bethany stated Maddie was the only roommate who lived in that residence the year before. I can't remember. Did I already read this, guys? Did I already read this one to you guys? Because I've already read them, so I'm trying to think in my head. So regardless, we have a back-to-back here with Bethany. I don't think I did. Did I already read this one? This is her second one. This is when she was at the Nevada Police Department. Because I thought that I did yesterday. So, but let's go to this part right here. When they asked about the timeline. Okay. Yeah. Because people live together, but right here where she says that she left the party and went to this other party. So Bethany and this Y person went to blank house again on Taylor. Blank said that her JHR, see that? Where was it at? Right here. And Bethany went up to Kaylee's, like, right here. This is where the discrepancy comes in. When Bethany sits down with Dustin Blaker again on 11/16, Bethany and this Y person went to the Whites after they left the fraternity. So Bethany states, and I don't know why, again, he's saying he, Bethany's a she. She hung out at the main part of the house for a while, and before she left the Sigma Chi party, she saw Ethan and Xana in the blank apartment. Again, this is a different timeline of events than she said before, because she said that she hung out with Xana and Ethan before she went up to the lodge. Okay, here in this interview, she's saying that she hung out with them after. You guys, this stuff though, to me, when you're drinking, to me, that's what happened first or second there. Yeah, no, that's fine. But here, Bethany and this person, they go to the Whites, and Dylan was there. But she's saying that Bethany said that unless there's a couple different apartments, but Bethany's saying, because remember Jenna gives her account. Jenna's like, yeah, Bethany and Dylan were both there. Dylan just left a little bit earlier than Bethany did. Now, are Jenna and Ava, that's who I think this person is. I don't know. It's an A name and it's short. Are they roommates? But Jenna seems to me like she's sober. She's, yep, this is who was here. Then, Dylan left, and then Bethany left a little bit later. But here, Bethany and this Y person went to Ava's house, and she calls it Ava's house. She doesn't call it Jenna's house on Taylor, or is that the Alfie house? I don't know. Bethany stated that her, this J, this H, these are the only people. But then again, is Blaker just getting all of this wrong when he's typing it up? They were the only one at the house. Again, he just can't type for crap. He can't spell. Bethany said that she walked home at around 1 and that Dylan and that person were the only ones in the house. Bethany, Dylan, and this person were watching Vampire Diaries for a while, and at around 1:22 for a while, so 22 minutes, because if she got home at 1, at 1:22, that girl left. Dylan went to her room after the girl left, and then around 2, then Kaylee and Maddie came home. Maddie, Kaylee, Dylan, and Bethany went up to Kaylee's bedroom. And so this is when it changed, that she added then Dylan going up to the bedroom. But in her, again, maybe, and when I say it changed, no, Blaker writing it has changed. Because this is not verbatim, so we have no idea what she's saying. So his writing has changed, not necessarily she has changed. So, and I'm leaning right now towards that he just didn't write it the right way when on the 13th, when he had, he's being quick about it. And he wrote it up on the December 28th, and it happened on November 13th. He's going, I would hope, off of his body cam. Or the interview tape, whatever they used. So just showing you guys that. She said Kaylee was getting ready for bed as they were hanging out in her room. Bethany, Maddie, and Dylan went downstairs, and Maddie and Bethany took Murphy outside to let him go to the bathroom. Ready? Bethany only stayed outside for a short time. And she then went back into the house and put something away in her cupboard and grabbed a bag of chips. Bethany went downstairs to go to bed. Bethany stated nothing was unusual about Maddie and Bethany. See, he screws it all up about Maddie and Bethany's demeanor. Well, Bethany's talking about herself now. He means Kaylee demeanor when they got home. Or is he talking about Ethan and Xana? Like, when did Ethan and Xana get home? You're not asking, hey, so you take out the dog. You do this. You do that. Was Ethan and Xana not home yet? Bethany stated they both appeared to be happy. Bethany said Maddie was highly intoxicated. She hasn't seen her like that in forever. Bethany said when she went to bed, she was using her iPad to watch a TV show off of Hulu. Bethany said she was watching Baby Daddy. So it wasn't Maddie that was watching Baby Daddy. You see how bad Blaker would, like, you see how bad he botched that? Because if we read these, it's like, we need to, and that's why Ann Taylor is saying, we need to talk to them because it's in her own words. We need to talk to Bethany. We need to talk to Bethany because you can't type, because you get the details wrong. That's why we need to talk to these people, because you suck. Details matter. Because how this would make somebody look is that Bethany was lying. Oh, wait, Maddie watched Baby Daddy? This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous that this was even wrote up December 28th. Okay? And if something wasn't wrote up, then how would anybody be able to debrief and tell people about what has transpired in an investigation? How am I able to relay what these people have said to me to the rest of the team if I don't even have reports written? That's ridiculous. You can't. So back over here looking at what Blaker wrote, and that's why I keep saying, you guys, these are not Dylan and Bethany's words, man. We need to hear or see the video. But Bethany stated nothing was unusual about Maddie and Bethany. Idiot. He means Maddie and Kaylee, but we don't know what he means because we don't even know. We want to just know what Bethany means. He thinks Bethany's a boy half the time. Bethany stated that they appeared, both girls appeared to be happy. Bethany said Maddie was highly intoxicated and she's never seen her like that, not for a long time. Bethany said when she went to bed, she was using her iPad to watch a TV show off of Hulu. Okay, guess what? There's going to be metadata on that. That's going to be able, you're going to be able to see when they were using that app. Bethany said she was watching Baby Daddy. Bethany could not remember what episode, though, she was watching or how long she was watching. As she was watching the show, Maddie came downstairs. This is the most important part of the night. As she was watching the show, Maddie came downstairs and asked her if she had Murphy with her because she could not find him. Now, let's go back to what I had talked about, and I said when we found out the phone records, and it was like, oh my gosh, Bethany called Maddie called Bethany at 2:53. I said, yeah, that's what I would have done. Why would I walk all the way downstairs? I would just, if I was all the way upstairs, I would call them. Okay. If I needed something, especially if I was like, hey, can you unlock the door for so and so? They're coming over. Remember me saying that? So now think about all the calls to Jack D. And according to Bethany, Kaylee stayed upstairs while Maddie go outside to take Murphy out. Well, when you go, how could you possibly lose Murphy if you're literally just letting him pee really quick on a leash? Because she says, we have to have him on a leash because he'll run away. Okay. Now, think about this. Ready? If you come down, or if you're sleeping and I come down and I said, hey, if this is truly how it went down, again, this is Blaker, though, God knows. And this is why Aunt Taylor's like, it's only things that she has seen and heard. Okay. As she was watching the show. So again, if we get Hulu and we could see what time she was running that app till, because here she says that she shuts it off. Okay. So she wasn't asleep when Maddie would have come down. She said she was watching Baby Daddy. So as she was watching the show, Maddie came downstairs and asked her if she had Murphy with her because she could not find him. Bethany told her no. Bethany said her door was locked and she normally locks her door when she goes to bed. Bethany told me she eventually turned off the show and her iPad and went to sleep. Perfect. Get that forensic download. What time is that at? And do you remember when now Josiah Roloff would have examined something to see when this shit's happening? This is what Josiah Roloff would have been doing. He would have said, Anne would have been like, okay, can you find out what time that app was being used? Yeah. What time it started, what time the app was used. She says that she shut it off. If she ended the app, that's going to show you what time they started the app, what time you ended the app. Okay. Why is there no mention here about Bethany saying, oh, yeah, Maddie called me. She called me at 2:53. That's right. Because she's looking at her phone, you guys. She's using her phone with all this other stuff. Then wouldn't she jog her memory like, oh, yeah, right here. Maddie called me. And the reason she called me, it's here, it says it's 2:53. But she called me to tell me that she found Murphy. And she just wanted me to tell, hey, I got Murphy. Just so you know, don't worry. Now think about this. There is no way in hell that my roommate, if I say that I can't find my dog or a dog that I consider my dog, it's Kaylee's dog, but hey, do you have Murphy? No, I can't find Murphy. Don't you think Bethany would have got him out of bed and went and helped her find Murphy? Especially if Bethany is saying that Maddie is highly intoxicated. You'd be like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Did you put Murphy on the leash? If you have like a little chain, you're going to get up out of bed and you're going to help your roommate. I cannot imagine my roommate just continuing to watch Baby Daddy. Either my roommate would say, no, you're ridiculous. Okay. So is this the reason that Ann Taylor wants to say and bring in that, because they're only going with what they're saying. So So if Murphy was lost and then Murphy comes back, somebody had to let Murphy in, okay? And if the dog was barking all the way up until a certain point, and it's well past when they're trying to say that the killings were, all right, the only two people that could have brought Murphy in would be Dylan or Bethany, who brought Murphy in and then brought them into their room, which then would make sense, right? But it would also say that you weren't scared to leave your room. The purpose of this, though, to break this down, is that I can't imagine being a veteran detective of 20 or 30 years, like Blaker claims, and hey, you little shits, he's the one that poured out the Trulies for the win. Hey, listen, I've been doing this a long time. I know this is a sorority house, okay? So maybe you get the sorority people involved. You're just going to tell me, do you want this to be worse than it has to be, okay? I believe that Blaker is lazy as fuck. I have no problem saying that. What do you mean the dog was missing? Let's talk more about this dog, right? Let's talk more about the dog, because people are talking about the dog barking, right? What do you mean that, okay, did you go help her look? Did she tell you that she ended up finding the dog? Does Murphy get out often? Has it ever happened before? So she's just hammered. You're telling me she's looking at her phone and she doesn't realize that she got a phone call at 2:53. Maddie called Bethany and they talked. And it was like, I mean, I have to go back and check the record to see how long that call was. But if you are starting an investigation from inside out, you're breaking down every little detail. And the more, like, if you're going to say, okay, tell me what you remember, versus saying, okay, once you go ahead and say that, all right, now let me ask you some questions about what you're saying, or I'll just interrupt you when I have questions about what you're saying. But let's start from the beginning here, blah, 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 you know? And I just can't imagine that these guys could possibly sit down and have sessions of talking about, hey, what did this person say to you? What did this person say to you? What did this person say to you? Right? And trying to gather all that information, read through it, know where to go next if you don't type up the shit for a month and a half. How does that work? And so I just want someone to explain that to me. I want somebody to explain how this is possibly the best way to do something, because it doesn't seem like it is. You guys are over here doing dog barking experiments, but we're not going to ask for more clarity. So again, she's being so detailed in talking about at 1:22, this person left. She's not going to say at 2:53. Okay. Or did she? And Dustin Blaker just doesn't think it's important. And I'm going to give Bethany the benefit of the doubt because I see the work. And if you want to know, you can't answer questions that people don't ask you. So when someone says, well, why didn't you tell them that? Dude, I'm sitting there answering all the questions. They didn't ask me about that. I can only answer things that you ask me about, you know? And yeah, we're sitting here telling you that we've been drinking all day. Like, let me use my phone. You want to get a timeline down? Let's look at my phone. Here, download my phone, pull all my stuff out here. I have nothing to hide. Let's put a timeline together because I don't remember things. And if things are missing, you say I deleted something. You know, that's how I would be. I would be like, I have nothing to hide. Like, what do you need to know? Or what do you think's important? Or we don't know what's important, so just keep talking. Or, I mean, you get it? Like, these girls could only be as helpful as the detectives asking them the questions. So, so then you can see, again, remember 2022 or the 22nd to the 28th, no reports. Then Blaker writes up 2 reports on the 28th that have to do with Bethany. And then now here we are on the 3rd. And on the 3rd, this would have been after the arrest, you know, of Brian Kober. But what is he writing his report on? Well, Tyson Barrett's writing his report on something that he did on the 2nd. And it was about property. Then on the 4th, Roger Lanier is talking about something that he did on December 30th. And it was about the disaster services responded to 1122 King Road to being cleaning the residents of biohazards and other chemicals used during the crime scene processing. This was a prearranged response. As members of the disaster response were setting up their tents and barriers, I received a call from Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson. Mr. Thompson advised me that a judge order has just been placed and issued requesting all mitigation and cleanup be halted. Can you believe that? This has already been prearranged. Imagine it's prearranged right after the arrest. You know? Okay. At that point, I instructed the disaster service crew members to stop. I confirmed that the door to the residence had not been opened and no one had entered the residence yet. I checked the evidence tape on the door to ensure the seal had not been broken. I stood by. Well, you would think that I took pictures of that. I don't know. On 1/4, Dustin Blaker writes a report, and it is for this would be number 93, and it's for transportation of DNA profile to Othram. This is what everybody wants to talk about. Woo! Ready? Oh, another Dustin Blaker report coming in at what time? Oh, on the 4th of January for something that he did on November 21st. Okay. So on November 21st, 2022, I traveled from Moscow, Idaho to Boise to drop off evidence at the Idaho State Police Forensic Laboratory located at, that's the address. After getting evidence checked into the lab, I signed for a DNA profile which had been generated by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab. This DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by ISP investigators from District 2 during the initial search of 1122 King Road on November 13th. Now we're going to talk about it. This is my evidence semi-log. Okay. All right. Items 1 through 55 were the 55 pictures that were taken by first responders that were the first initial police officers that were taking pictures. So on a CD was 1 through 55. Now, I would still be asking to see everybody's cell phone that took a picture because I maybe missed one. Okay. The 56, as you can see, 54, 53, all of those. Well, see these dates over here? So 11/13, those were put into evidence on 11/13. Everything else that you're seeing right here was not put in and given a label, okay, until 11/14. Goes up. It goes from down at the bottom of the page to up the page in terms of like when it was entered. Right here, you will see a knife sheath, item 11. Now that wouldn't necessarily be the same number as like what the lab would eventually label it, but just for purposes of their evidence. And you see how it says 1114. I thought this was collected by Idaho State Police. Okay. If Idaho State Police is collecting it, I want to understand this. If you're bringing in the Idaho State Police forensic team, okay, to process the scene and to collect the evidence, all right, are they just helping you do that? If you don't have the lab to do like the work and stuff like that, explain to me this process. If I'm bringing in the Idaho State Police to do the crime scene and bringing in their crime scene unit, they're collecting everything. Why wouldn't Idaho State Police be immediately transporting? Again, this has to do with chain of custody. So like that's where, hey, let me explain to you why. Because what these items actually went and did is they went on 1113, whatever was collected, you're going to see when these reports are typed up, that they were kept in temporary storage at Moscow Police Department. And the sheath was one of those items that was kept in temporary holding at the Moscow Police Department. Allegedly. And that's why it was written up on 1114 and it was tagged on 1114 because it was in a temporary storage, evidentiary storage place at the Moscow Police Department. And I'm just like, I would just think that, I don't know, if ISP came across it, you know, I would think after the bodies were removed, that's when you'd really get a good, because you're not really want to touch anything, do anything, move things around, because you're going to be processing it different ways. First, all your pictures, everything, and then you're moving, well, then you're processing the bodies and stuff like that. There, you can be you can be taking swabs, you can be doing a ton of things, again, still taking photos. Then when you're removing the bodies, then there's going to be even more to, or even like when you're picking maybe somebody up or lifting them, take pictures of something. So here, all this stuff was just like, here, keep this all at Moscow Police Department. Now it could be because, hey, we're going to need to process this, the next day. We're all spending the night here. They got hotels for us. And so, yep, Idaho State Police here. This is all this that we collected. Can you just keep it here in temporary? Because then we're going to take everything back with us on the 14th. So I'm just curious on how they determined how they were going to do that. But just to show you guys the date that the sheath is associated with is on 11/14. And the reason that Payne says it's like that is because it was tagged on that day, but it was collected on the 13th, but it wasn't just tagged until that day. So, and now we're just trying to break down if that is in fact accurate. So just thought that was a good time to point that out. Okay, so this is Blaker, and Blaker is talking about yes. Okay, sorry about that. So here we are. Blaker boy. After getting evidence checked into the lab, I signed for a DNA profile, which had been generated by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab. This DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by Idaho State Police investigators from District 2 during the initial search. And so here, this is where Ann Taylor's like, wait a second, Blaker over here is saying that Idaho State Police found it. Payne's over there saying that he found it. that was like the big thing. The sheath has been transported to the lab. The sheath had been transported to the lab by ISP troopers. So again, I have a question about this, because if that's the case, again, why isn't he also saying that the sheath was in temporary holding at Moscow Police Department, according to Payne? We'll get into all of it, though. The DNA profile was stored in a vial, which was then packaged in an evidence envelope by Idaho State Police lab technicians and properly sealed with evidence tape. I signed the package showing I was taking possession of it on 11/21/2022, sometime between 16:30 and 17 hours. What do you mean, sometime between? That's just Blaker for you, though. Once I took possession of the DNA profile, it stayed in the box provided to me by the Idaho State Police lab until 11/22/2022. At around 3:30 in the morning, at around 3:30 a.m. You guys see that? When I removed it from the box and placed it in a small backpack, the backpack then stayed in my possession. The only time I was not physically holding my backpack was when I had to go through TSA at the security at Boise Airport, because we now know that it was Blaker and Matthew Gamet, because Matthew Gamet said that he escorted it. So I can't believe that he didn't put that down, that he was escorted. Anyways, I was able to see the backpack as it went through the security system and subsequent check of my carry-on by TSA security. The envelope the DNA sample was in never left the backpack at any time during the security check by TSA. I arrived in Houston, Texas at around 1400 hours Central Time. I traveled to Othram, which is located, it's in the Woodlands, TPC, baby. I arrived at Othram at around 1510 hours. I handed the envelope with the DNA profile to a JF employee for Othram. We completed the chain of evidence paperwork both on the envelope and also on a form provided to me by Othram. I have burned all of these files onto a DVD, which was booked into evidence. Okay, so MPD now. Again, I want to show you. This was written on 1/4/2023. And he's saying that on November 21st, this is when he traveled to drop off evidence at the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab located at blah, blah, blah. After getting evidence checked into the lab, I signed for a So he's saying, I traveled there to drop off evidence. And then after he drops off the evidence that he did, which I think it's interesting that he doesn't say what he was dropping off, he then signed for a DNA profile, which had been generated by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab. So, hey, you're going to take this down to the lab to give to them. And then in turn, they're going to give you something. And then you're going to fly out of Boise and fly into Houston. And then you're going to give it to Othram. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to fly you back. Perfect. Sounds great. So this DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by Idaho State Police investigators from District 2 during the initial search. The sheath had been transported to the lab by ISP troopers. Now, that is what's a miracle here. When? What's the date? We'll go on and continue on to see if we can find those answers. He doesn't know. I want to know when did Idaho State Police check it out of the temporary storage or evidence at, they had to have. And then, because it was at Moscow, it was there. Idaho State Police may have collected it. I don't know. We need their reports. We need Idaho State Police reports. So go ahead and mark report 93 is really, really important. So if you guys are making notes, you want to highlight and say report 93 is really, really important. Okay. On January 3rd, 2023, I applied and was granted a warrant for data relating to email address of blank. So what I'm going to show you guys here now, the way that I'm going to handle this is okay. If from this point forward, the majority of this stuff is reports that have to do with after the arrest of Brian Koberger. Okay. So what I realized is, holy shit, that's it. At this point right here, like, wait, what are we working with here? Remember there was 500 interviews before the arrest of Brian Koberger? How many interviews have I read, you guys? Nowhere near 500. So I wanted to separate and say, okay, well, that has to do with Koberger here. Lawrence Mowry, he's writing something up from December 2nd on Report 95. And that has to do with the UPS when they went and got that search warrant. This is from Justin Blaker on 1/4, and it's for, this is report 96, and it's on November 29th. So this has been before Brian Koberger, but the same day that they supposedly found his car. And on November 29th, I was tasked with having 5 vehicles from 1122 King Road moved to the city shop located I met with blank blank FBI DFE agent out in Salt Lake City. I assisted him. They removed the ECU from the Jeep Wrangler belonging to Ethan. After the ECU was removed, I took possession of it and booked it into property. On 11/30/2022, Officer Aaron Morris was with agent when he removed the ECU from a Ford Explorer. I think they were trying to figure out where Ethan and Xana were. They didn't take anybody else's ECU. And so that's where I was headed with this. Is it's like, okay, you have all these other cars you're not concerned with. And it's because they don't know where Ethan and Xana were and what time they got home. Because I think by reading the interviews, it's not in there, is it? So, again, the Chevy Cruze, Xana's, Ethan. You see why they wanted those two? The ECUs were then shipped to Salt Lake City so the FBI could retrieve data from them. Once they were done, they shipped the ECUs back to the PD. I received a large package around December 22nd. I opened the package on 12/27 and found 3 ECUs in the box. We were told Agent Blank would not be able to come back to Moscow for several weeks to reinstall the ECUs. No wonder when the Chapins were like, well, yeah, we have our car in parts. But where's the data at from it? Who has the data? Oh, the FBI has the data. I contacted blank fleet supervisor. I asked Blank if he and his mechanics could reinstall the ECUs, and he told me he could. I provided him with the ECUs, and they had them installed the same day. Again, that means the FBI, they have the data. But do you see how it's no mention about the data? Okay, you sent me back these ECUs. Awesome. Well, I'm sure you talked to this guy. Okay, where's the data from the ECUs? Like, can we get that? Who wrote this up? Blaker. Figures. (1-4), Dustin Blaker, narrative, November 13th. This is report 97. I'm like, wait, November 13th? What is this about? Well, on November 13th, I was at 1122 King Road assisting with a homicide investigation and search warrant at the address. Blank blank was called to remove the 4 deceased and then transport them to Spokane for autopsies. You just wrote this up now? Well, on 1-4, here we go. Not only did the FBI have everything or Idaho State Police have everything, there could be no investigation. Like, this is all gathering information still. You aren't even able to go and like start looking at the stuff to try to start putting an investigation together. Okay. So to me, as you're reading this, what I'm gathering from it, it may be different than what you're gathering from it, but I will tell you what I'm gathering from this is there was no investigation going on yet. It was, we're gathering all this information, and yes, that's part of the investigation, but we're literally, if you're Moscow Police Department, you are in the initial stages of it because you're not even deciphering. You're not even reading it. And that's when you have to ask yourself, okay, well, who's doing all these interviews? Is it ISP? Is it FBI? Ann Taylor's over here like, we need this material. Where is this shit? But this is how Ann Taylor was building her supplemental requests. And this is why she had to do so many supplemental requests, because all these different agencies other than Moscow Police Department was doing everything. And then if it's not in the possession and control of Moscow Police Department, then the question remains is, how does the lead investigator that's Moscow Police Department guy, how does he know anything if he doesn't have any of the material? Basically, who's calling the shots to say, who should you go talk to next? Or where the discrepancies lie? And hey, we just have to clear something up. So Blaker was there, and it's to transport the bodies. And so this is what he is saying, is that everybody wants to know when this happened, when this occurred. Okay. And this just tells me that the media clearly didn't stick around that long. The people that were there on November 13th, they didn't stick around that long, because, or they should have a ton of pictures of like when the people are saying, we have nobody coming and going when you want to talk about how were they transported. Well, here it is. At around 28 hours, that's going to be 9:28. I had Officer Jay Water follow blank when they transported Xana and Ethan from 1122 King Road to their facility. 9:28. I had Officer Water stay at blank with Xana and Ethan so they could return and transport Keely and Madison. I followed blank from 1122 King Road back to their facility after they collected Keely and Madison. I mean, this is just so vague. What time did you get there? What time did you leave? What time did you get back? What time did you leave? All these things. Once at blank, I watched blank do blank blank place name tags on the 4 deceased along with the corresponding numbers to help identify them. I then placed evidence tape on the body bags, sealing the bags up until they arrived in Spokane and the autopsies can be completed. I photographed the evidence tape and I have, there you go. And I have burned these photos onto a CD. Perfect. So that's when it happened. And the reason we don't have any pictures is because the media did not stay around. So there you go. And he did not wear his body cam for any of it. stellar. Why would you wear a body cam? I mean, why would we ever do such a thing? Why do we have body cams? This is number 98. And Lawrence Mowry, he wrote this up on 1/5, and it's for stuff that he did on December 22nd. I applied for and was granted for a warrant for financial records from Elon Financial Services for Kaylee. P1 FCU debit card was found with Kaylee's name on it in her residence. The warrant was requested to see if any financial transactions could be located showing evidence in her murder. I wonder if they were looking about that Range Rover because it was not in Kaylee's name. FBI SA Douglas assisted in the service of the warrant on December 22nd at approximately 18:25 hours. The warrant was served on January 5th. I received an email from Special Agent Douglas providing the date or the data. So providing the data requested pursuant to the warrant. I downloaded the files to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. I completed the warrant return, receipt, and affidavit. These documents were sent to Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. In examining the data, it appeared the account was registered to LL. So I think that's her grandma. Kaylee's office. And then I think probably in parentheses. But so Lawrence Mowry is writing this up on, this is number 99, on the 5th of January, and this is for something that he did on December 12th. I applied for and was granted a search warrant for sales records from Blue Ridge Knives. Okay. Blue Ridge Knives. And it was about purchases and quantities of Blue Ridge Knives from the K-Bar, including on or about 3/8/2022. Oh my God. What? This is where Ann Taylor's like, wait a second. What? Oh my God. Here's our first bomb. This is the first bomb in all of the discovery. Here it is. You guys ready for this shit? You guys ready for this shit? So this is the part you want to listen to. Okay, take a look at this. Mowry writes this up on January 5th, 2023. Okay. This is for the Blue Ridge warrant services. He does this on December 12th. So think about that day. On December 12th, I applied for and was granted a warrant for the sales records from Blue Ridge Knives for the K-Bar KA1217S USMC fighting knife sheath and known purchases and quantities of Blue Ridge Knives from K-Bar, including on or about 3/8/2022. That is a very specific date. Very specific date. Okay. That on December 12th, you know what that would mean? Y'all are lying when you found his name. Y'all are lying. Mowry, you're a dog. Mowry, you're a dog. Remember what Steve Gonsalves said? They were swirling his name around on 12/13. This is wild. So I don't understand how Ann Taylor couldn't oral argue this. Okay, I don't understand how she's not able to oral argue this. I don't understand how Hippler, then, regardless of Ann's abilities, how Hippler wouldn't see this is your exhibit. Okay, so you would just provide, okay, and now maybe it was like, I know what Ann was doing. You're playing the long game, so get him roped up into saying things, right? And then we're going to use that testimony. We're going to impeach him. Okay, we don't have time for impeachment here. We can have time for suppressions, right? Are you truly trying to suppress stuff? If you're truly trying to suppress things, right here is how you're going to do that. So explain this to me. you were very, you wanted purchase cost. So it was like including on or about 3/8/2022, the purchase of 360 units, and or about 6/24/2022, the purchase of 480 units. Blue Ridge Knives are a wholesaler for K-bar knives and sheaths. FBI Douglas assisted in the service of the warrants um, to the financial stuff. But what? We're not talking about anything financial. What the heck's he talking about? Ready? Oh my God! Copy, cut, and paste. Ready? What a moron! Look at this, you guys. I just couldn't wait for this. Ready? FBI S.A. Douglas assisted in the service of the warrants to Elon. Wait. Oh, honey child. Oh, honey. Let's take a look at what you did on number 98. Let's take a look at your mess. We'll clean it up for you. So number 98. When was this done? On 1/5. At what time? 13:57. I pressed enter. Okay. Then what'd you do? Well, then I wrote up another one and I pressed enter at 15:04. Oh, so like an hour later? Oh, okay. So what'd you do here? What was this one about? The first one? Oh, it was about this financial stuff. FBI S.A. Douglas assisted in the service of the warrant. See? See that? So, copy, cut, and pasting. Copy, cut, and pasting. I be copy, cut, and pasting. Like, you just didn't sit down at your desk. They don't even know what you're doing. Okay. Except I'm going to show you what you've done. And so this is about our rights. Our rights. All right. What a bunch of morons. What a bunch of morons. So here you go. Well, first of all, we're pointing out that very specific dates that you want. Why are you wanting those dates? Where'd you get that information from? Because you guys, this was done on this day. Okay, you didn't know about Brian Kohlberger yet, right? You did not know about Brian Kohlberger yet, right? So wait, what was the day that you said Authoring was done and said, hey, stop work on this and we'll have the FBI do it? December 10th. Oh, okay. Copy, cut, and pasting. Moscow Police Department. Why don't you guys just come clean? It's gonna be a long couple years. So yeah. Where's this date come from? Again, he said on December 12th, I applied for and was granted a warrant for sales records from Blue Ridge Knives for K-Bar. And then he has that. And known purchases and quantities of Blue Ridge Knives for K-Bar, including on or about, he wanted these specific dates. Why? Out of the blue. Woo! We want these dates. Where'd you get this from? Well, the FBI already did the work. Because they already had Brian Kohlberger's name. Because they were going to keep everything hush-hush about everything. And, hey, we're going to put this all together. He's going to be arrested. He's just going to take a plea deal. Okay. Again, here's Mowry sitting at his desk. He writes this one up on 1/5/2023 at 13:57 hours. And then right after that, he writes this one up at 15:04 hours. And he says, FBI S.A. Douglas assisted in the service of the warrant to, I was like, financial, what? Yeah. Then he said, on December 13th at approximately 7:54 in the morning, the warrant was served. So, again, he means to say Blue Ridge. So the FBI is serving another warrant with, and they already have done it. And they're gonna be like, no, because we didn't do the Amazon stuff yet. Well, you didn't? Well, yeah, you did. Because why are you picking those days? On December 16th, I received an email from S.A. Douglas providing the data requested pursuant to the warrant. You did? I wonder what data that is. I wonder if it's from the FBI doing theirs or you guys doing yours. I completed, ready? I completed the warrant return. Okay, so where is it? You didn't share? You didn't share all those names of everybody that purchased where those were shipped out? Right there. So your Boom Daddy is number 99, and you know that they have Brian's name. And this is at the very least by this date, okay? But we know that it was before December 12th because I'm going to keep going. Fight me. Fight me. Come get it. Number 100. Number 100. Did she think that they bought the knife from Blue Ridge? I don't know. Okay. Lawrence Mowry, same day. Oh my God, wait, 15:24, like literally 17 minutes after. Presses enter on another one on December 12th. Oh, let me just show you guys that. So 15:04, 15:24. So then he's sitting down at his desk still. He's like, okay, now I got to write. Now remember, he's writing up his reports. He's like, okay, I got to write up this report now. This is discovery. He's writing up something that is discovery, like that you know you need. You know, the defense is going to need, right? So we write this up. Oh, here it is. On December 12th, I applied for and was granted a warrant for Extreme Networks. Oh my God, the same day. Because they needed assistance in unlocking a laptop located in the residence located at 1122 King Road. The laptop was being used by Keeley as a paid employee of Extreme Networks. The warrant requested. Now, my question is how do you know she was being paid? Hopefully did you go through the financials? Was she receiving direct deposits? How did you determine that? How did you determine that she was a paid employee? Next. The warrant requested permission for Extreme Networks to unlock or provide a password. Sergeant Neil Uhrig assisted in the forensic examination of the laptop. I forwarded the warrant to Sergeant Uhrig, who then served the warrant on December 12, 2022 at approximately 15:19 hours via email to, look at that, hupd.harvard.edu. When I saw that, I said, whoa. I said, damn. I said, maybe I'm missing something there, but I said, what's this Harvard shit? Who went to Harvard? The guy that owns Extreme Networks? On December 14, 2022, Sergeant Uhrig received an email providing the encryption key for the laptop. This allowed the data from the laptop to be forensically acquired and examined by Sergeant Uhrig. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. A copy of this. I'm starting to think that the wheels fell off a little bit sooner. But when the complete destruction of the FBI just going ahead and straight violating people's rights, that happened on December 23rd. Yeah, Brett Payne on the 6th. What's this for? Collection of additional evidence. No body cam. He collected nightstand, pink comforter, blue blanket, pillow, mattress, bed frame, pillow, sheet, nightstand, pillow. It's because Ann Taylor called up and was like, what the F? And so how this rolled is at approximately 2 o'clock on 1/6, assisted by members of the Idaho State Police and the FBI, additional evidence items were collected from 1122 King Road. The above items were collected and transported to the Moscow Police Department and booked into evidence. Well, let me tell you why. Because Ann Taylor said, I need you. You didn't collect these items. I need you to collect these items, and we want them tested. CH, that'd be awesome. Can you send me an email that? That'd be rocking. Because I want to stop everybody that's saying that there were no bodies taken out of there. CH just wrote, I'm pretty sure you can see them removing the victims from the scene in the background of Janelle Finch's report from CREM 2. Awesome. If you happen to have that, I would love it because I just want to stop all these people that were talking about that there was no one dead and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you guys are wild. Okay. But so thank you, CH. There is a report somewhere. It's going to come up because of whoever else went with them. But the reason that they took the rest of this in evidence. So I just want to show you guys something. See this evidence number 437. Okay. They got all the way up to the 900s. If I ever have the chance to talk to Ann Taylor and interview her, my question is going to be if, hindsight's always 2020. If you were to do this all over again, would you have had a preliminary hearing within your 10 or 14 days? Oh, can one of the mods grab that link or whatever? Put youtube.com in front of it. Can you just, and then send that to me? Thanks. My question would be and I think that I can't imagine that being a no, but I recommend everybody speedy trial all day and preliminary hearings, don't ever waive them. And yeah, because if you follow along with these reports, you're gonna be able to see what they had and what they did not have. And if discovery has to close at a certain date because you're pushing to go to trial, right? What they end up getting, and this is why you're not supposed to do it this way, if you don't have the things that you need to go to trial, but you're like, hey, we're going to get it all and we'll start putting all these search warrants in after the fact, then but they didn't have anything. They had one thing. Everything that they end up getting, that's why I was showing you that they're in the numbers like the 400s. These items of evidence, watch what you start seeing come through between March, April, May, June, July of 2023. So the next thing is that I'm going here is 102. 102. Beth sent me $25 for your hard work. Thank you so much, Beth. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let me go over here. I had some stars. Sally, thank you so much for becoming a member. Eminem without nuts. I love whoever picked this name. I don't know if it's a new name, but I was talking about Eminem. Sunny days. $14.99. Thanks for the pencil. You like that? Yeah, little Lana baby, the cutest. I'm making a new intro. Little baby Lana's going to be in it. Same music and everything like that. A lot of the same stuff, but I want to add some stuff to it. But little baby Lana, little baby arm. Thank you. And then Les Cooper, 499. Lana, one of the hardest working peeps on social media. This one's for you. Thank you. P.S. Girl, you can eat anytime you want. Lana, you can eat a dick anytime you want. That's what Penny's saying. Oh, Lana. Oh, Lana. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. I don't even, thank you. I can eat anytime I want. Blue. That's my boy, Blue. Thank you. Wow. I mean, speaking of baby, what's up, Chrissy Nevada? How you doing, girl? Keep on flowing. Keep on flowing, girl. So yeah, hopefully you're writing on the report number. Without those last two, we're just boom booms. Boom boom. Boom boom. Talk about when you got Brian Kober's name. It ain't no 19th. And it's like, that's why I think Aunt Taylor's saying, so you guys had these like debriefing sessions, right? Yeah. And you guys were all communicating with each other. There's no reason, Officer Payne, that you would not know that Detective Mowry filled out a search warrant on the 12th for these specific days. You have no idea why he would do that. Who instructed him to do that? He just did it on his own and you didn't know about it? Come on. What's the pie in that shit? You can say whatever you want and you can believe whatever you want, but when you're seeing something in black and white, it's like, So this was Danny Vargas. She wrote the report on 110. It's report 102. And it's for January 4th, January 5th, January 6th, January 9th. So it has to do with personal items. So it was the remainder of someone's personal items, which is DM. On January 5th, I learned from Bill Thompson, per the recent signed court order, to hold all evidence, stop giving people stuff. DM's items fell under that order, Thompson said. So I think she had to go back and get it. So on January 6th, Sergeant Blaker traveled to Boise. So I guess Blaker was just the traveling dude, and picked up Dylan's personal belongings and said, we need those back. Way to go. Meg P, love your face. 19 is my favorite number. Boom. 19 months. Love it. Meg P's a sweetheart. A lot of sweethearts in here. So can you imagine that? Hey, guess what? I'm going to need that back. And then you blame it on the defense to say, yeah, of course, of all lawyers, Brian Kober had to get that Ann Taylor bitch. All right. Danny Vargas, 110, 2023. I have yet to see a report. Okay. I have yet to see a report. I've been waiting, right? We've been waiting. I want to see Danny Vargas. When did you obtain Indian Hills Trails, camera? Always keep an open mind, says Blue. Always. Anything that's a fluid investigation, anything that's always fluid. When you get more information, if you ignore it, you the fool. Okay? You the fool. And so I just think when we have our opinions should be based off of stuff. If you're learning more things, your opinions should and could change. That just makes you smart, logical, not biased. And if more investigations were done that way, tunnel vision doesn't work. Dr. Latina, how have you been, love? Thank you so much. Thank you. $50 super sticker. Everybody was gone. Yes, there you go. The Spitfire Dragon. Love the name. Changing your opinion is in response to new evidence is a sign of integrity and good character. You know what? I'm gonna take that. Dr. Latina gifted 10 memberships. If you turn green right now, congratulations and welcome to the Truth and Transparency Club. We don't discriminate here, man. We don't even know who gets a membership. YouTube picks it out. So it's always hard on my end though, because I'm always like, I wonder if you remember because you were gifted one, or if you remember because you're like, I want to be a member here. So I wish there could be like a different color now for like if you won one. Maybe YouTube could do that. Lana sent you the link in your email. Thanks, Lady Di. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, back at it here. Let's keep it rocking and rolling. So Danny Vargas, she has an interview with Brian Koberger's neighbor. Ooh. And she does it on December 30th, and she wrote it up on the 10th. On December 30th at approximately 6:30 in the morning, I stood by while a search warrant was served at that address. The residence of Brian Koberger. While on scene, one of the neighbors, AA, who lived in the same building, stated her husband returned home and he might have additional information. So AA was interviewed by somebody else, but Danny Vargas here, she did the interview of the husband, I believe. So right here it says Detective Mowry, this person had been interviewed earlier in the day by several FBI agents. Well, earlier in the day, what are you talking about? It's 6:30 in the morning. Earlier in the day. What time did you interview the neighbor? 2 a.m.? You guys see, when I see funny things like that, I have to share those moments with you. Like when I'm reading that, it's like, when did who at 2? Hey, can I talk to you? I mean, they were serving the search warrant in the middle of the night, I guess. I don't know. Oh, hey, can I interview you? It's funny the way that she says, earlier that day. It's like, yeah, earlier. Well, what time? Because you are standing there at 6:30. So, all right. Okay, so here we go. I recorded the conversation. Detective Mowry met with this person and this person and this person in their apartment. I recorded our conversation, which they were fine with. Because I guess in Washington, you guys remember, you have to get permission. Blank said she had been speaking with Blank about the questions she was asked. One questions being if she had ever seen Brian with anyone. This person told me they did remember a time when they returned home and said they saw Brian sitting on the stairs leading up to his apartment next to a male. Blank and Blank described the male as having light brown skin, a sleeve tattoo. Oh my God. Dude, Brian Koberger has something with those tattoos. No, I'm kidding. A sleeve tattoo on his left arm. Okay. Wearing a sleeveless shirt and shorts. Okay. Let me just tell you something. I would doubt that. Nobody usually rides a bike with shorts. Okay. If you're a biker, you don't ride a bike. Okay. With shorts. When I'm talking about bike, I'm talking about motorcycle. Blank said the male was riding a dark color, blue or black Harley type of motorcycle. Yeah. Right. Okay. There are no Harley riders out there that ride in shorts. Okay. They don't ride in jorts either. Shorts and jorts are not allowed by the lead person on the bike. If you are doing and riding your bike that way, you would get laughed out of the bike club, okay? Let's be real. So I have to say that you might as well wear jorts if you're going to wear shorts, okay? If you're riding a Harley Davidson, let's be honest. Blank said the male was riding a dark color. Okay. It was a very loud bike. Blank said he and Blank both noticed Brian and the male talking, but said as they got closer, both Brian and this male stopped talking and looked at them. Blank said Brian acknowledged them and asked how it was going. Blank said it seemed as if Brian was acting overly nice. Blank and Blank said that when they walked away to their apartment, Brian and the male were still silent and did not continue their conversation. Very interesting. Blank said he saw the male get up and heard the motorcycle start, but did not see him drive off. It's probably not his bike. Blank and Blank said this was the only time they ever saw this person and or saw or heard the motorcycle. When was this? Because this has to be when it's warmer out, you know? Like, how recently would this have been? Blank and Blank said Brian seemed like a quiet person, and they remembered meeting Brian's dad when Brian moved in. Blank said Brian's dad was very talkative. Blank and Blank said Brian's car was always clean and neat. How do you know that? Like, what a bunch of creepers in my car. You mean the outside of it? You mean the inside? Even on rainy days. Get out of here. So I guess they're talking about the outside of the car. Blank said Brian would often park his car right in front of their bedroom window, and they would notice the headlights when it came and went. Which, yes, you do. Blank and Blank did not notice when and if Brian changed the plates on his vehicle. Blank looked through his phone and thought on the night of the murders, he probably went to bed around midnight. What? How could you look through your phone and figure out, okay, what was the night of the murders? He probably went to bed at midnight. Who went to bed at midnight? Like the neighbor or Brian? Blank did not remember seeing lights from Brian's car and or knowing if Brian was home or not. Get out of here. You wouldn't. I wouldn't know what my neighbor was doing on November 13th, and you're asking me on January 5th. Are you kidding me? That's just no shit. They don't know that, and they shouldn't know that. If they do know that, then proof. Blank mentioned on another occasion seeing Brian return home around 1 a.m. and said he was wearing dark clothing, had on a dark colored backpack. And when they said hi to him, he seemed pretty sure with them. Where were they to say hi to him at 1 a.m.? What is going on? Like, were they standing outside the door just like, hi, Brian? Blank did not remember what day this occurred on, but said it was not the night of the murders. How do you know that? How do you know that it wasn't the night of the murders? How can you eliminate that? Blank said she worked late hours often and would also see Brian returning home around the same time she would, which is around 1 or 2. So that tells me that that's what he does. Like, when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like exactly his routine. You know, driving at night or coming and going and doing whatever he's doing. We thank so-and-so for their time and told them to contact us if you remember anything else. Okay. Next up. Officer Payne. Oh my God. Officer Payne's writing something on the 10th. It's report 104, and it is from something on November 23rd. I'm like, oh, November 23rd. Now this is a very important date. This is when you're starting to give the videos over to the FBI to say, hey, what vehicle is this? On November 23rd, 2022, at approximately 8:39, Molly McMichael came to the Moscow Police Department to be interviewed about her presence in the area of 1122 King. Oh, I gave you guys this yesterday, but I want to point something out. We read Molly's right here, where he says he concludes that this is what it was. Where does he put in his own little? Okay. Well, here, just in case you weren't here yesterday, fuck it. Molly McMichael, this is huge. The DoorDash, okay? Everybody out there that says or that thinks that Molly McMichael came forward, that is not accurate. Molly McMichael did not come forward. It was here. She was identified as being in the area through records obtained from DoorDash via a search warrant. And it was confirmed as being in the area because off of the Google geofence warrant, which was obtained as a result of this investigation. So is that off of her number, or what did you do with this? Because who else could you say was in the area? You know what I mean? Off of the geofence warrant. I'm just curious. He did this interview with an FBI agent. Molly told me she worked for 12 to 18 hours. I said, excuse me? That's a very long time. On the night of November 12th, to the 13th and received 3 orders in the King Road, Queen Road area. 2 of the orders were at the 500 Queen Road apartment complex, which is immediately to the east of 1122 King Road. Molly said that she delivered at 1122 King Road, or her delivery that night was her final order for the night. Molly said that she could not find the 1122 King Road address as the address number was hidden by the porch light, which caused her to remain in the area for approximately 15 minutes. It means like when she would have first got there, in my opinion, to when she would have left, she was in that area for 15 minutes due to this, I can't find the house. Molly also stated her Google Maps told her to go to the parking lot immediately behind 1122 King Road. Now, the interview was on this day, so I know that they couldn't have taken that from my video that I made, but it proves my video accurate. This is exactly what I said at the beginning of the live. I said, this is exactly what would happen. Your Google Maps would take you behind the house, pretty much, on the side of it. Molly stated she initially parked in the front of 1122 King Road and could see a female in the top left window. Now, he then puts in parentheses the 3rd story bathroom. I want to hear Molly's words. Remember I told you guys this? I want to hear Molly's words because I believe it is not the 3rd floor. And I told you guys why earlier. Molly said that she saw the same female a couple more times in the same window, and she would duck down when Molly looked at her. And I'm like, I don't believe that she's ducking. But, like, think about this. Molly gets interviewed on November 23rd, and this would be suspicious if, like, you're listening to this. What do you mean she's ducking? What do you mean she's ducking? Okay. I said, if it's on the 2nd floor, and Molly was just like, yeah, I was up in the window. I saw her. If she's walking down the stairs to go to the front door to open it because she thinks that her DoorDash is there and it's not, and then she comes up the stairs again, and so she goes to the window again. Molly could think, well, she's like ducking down every time I'm looking. It's like, no, Molly, that's what you think because you're just, she's over here wondering why the hell her DoorDash isn't at the door and you're just sitting there because she keeps on going down and coming back up. But Molly thinks that she's playing peekaboo with her. Okay. And right here, it doesn't make sense either. She said she stated that she initially parked in the front. Then how did she get lost? Like, what? Molly then said she drove to the back parking lot behind. Wait, what? And it would be because, I pulled into the driveway because I thought I was there, but I couldn't see the numbers. That would mean that the porch light was it off then? Because it was so dark you couldn't see it? Because when you're looking at the screen of your phone, it's telling you to go wrap around and come from the side. So that's where Molly could be like, oh, and the door must be in the back, right? Well, then my question is Molly then said she drove to the back parking lot behind 1122 King Road and parked. Well, my question is did she loop all the way around and park like that? Or did she pull back out of the driveway, come like this, then just go right to that street that's right next to the house and park like that? And they should know all of this because of the lights that they're using from 1112 King Road on the way that the lights are hitting on the other houses, right? Right. So she goes and parks around the back, and she noticed that all of the lights were on. All of these lights are on. You guys, do you understand what that would mean? That would mean that all of these lights are on, and Brian would see all of these lights on. So all of these date lines that are saying, Brian waited and he saw that the last light went out. Okay, now is my chance. Okay, all the lights are off, everybody's sleeping, and now I'm going to go in. According to Molly, all these lights were on. Think about that. You're getting this information on November 23rd, that all of these lights were on. So I would go back and look at the crime scene photos and see if anybody got pictures of all the lights in the room, like the switch lights, and to see if these were up or down. Okay, did anybody touch these? Were all these lights on? because you can't tell that during the day sometimes with all the lights coming through. But were these lights on? Were the switches up or down? Molly. But all these lights were on. Molly stated her map told her to walk into the back of the house, but she did not feel comfortable doing so because there was no path. Molly said she started to walk down the road, which runs north and south immediately to the east of the residence. Okay. So Molly moves from being in the front parking lot to then coming around, right? Now she's walking down. And she's saying that Molly stated that a tan sedan drove next to her while she was walking. That would mean while she's walking, down the little side street? Okay, or while she's on the actual, because this is the house. Is it when she was walking down this little side street? Or was it when she got onto this? Molly said that there was one male driver and noticed he did not look at me. She said he looked completely zoned and just drove by her. Molly later stated that the driver was white with blonde or red spiky hair. Molly also noticed that the dome light was on in his car when it went by, and later told me the male was wearing a light colored collared shirt. Preppyville. Molly stated she walked back up to her car. Listen to this. So Molly is sitting, here's the driveway in front of the house. She's sitting right there. She's like, my GPS is showing me to come like around here and to walk like this. You know how I showed you guys earlier? So she's like, but while she's doing that, somebody's looking out the window. You know? And she's like, okay, I'll just drive my car back around here, and parks. Then she gets out of her car, right? Gets her flashlight, walks down this way, but I'm not going to go in the back way over here. I'm going to walk here. I'm going to walk back to my car. So she walks back to her car and then drove it back to the front of the house. At which point she saw the address numbers. What? Molly said she placed the order at the front door, took a picture, and then left at approximately 4. Well, did you do anything? What time did she leave? Why isn't she showing you her phone? Why aren't you writing it down? What did the reports come back and say? Come on. What's going on? Why aren't you putting that in here? During the time Molly was in the area of the King Road residence, again, we know how Payne writes. The white Elantra can be seen via the 1112 King Road camera driving back and forth on Walenta Drive and then enter the King Road / Queen Road loop at approximately 3:56. And it's like, wait a second. This is where he's trying to say that car, when it's driving back and forth, Molly didn't witness that. Okay. So why is he adding in this narrative? Like, you're there to interview motherfucking Molly. Well, I'll tell you why he's adding all that in. Because he wrote up his report on 110. Think about if he would have wrote up his report on November 23rd. Like, this is about Molly. We don't need your interjections, okay? During this time, how do you know? During what time? How do you know? Unless you're going to write down, when you're writing approximately, okay, you could take that and shove it. Molly has a timestamp of when she took a picture of that food item, okay? What time was it at? That's what should be right here. Here we go. It's story time. During the time Molly was in the area of the King Road residence, well, she was there for 15 minutes. So 15 minutes she was there for, she said. So during this time, you're leaving it so wide open here. The white Elantra can be seen via the King Road camera, blah, blah, blah. And it's doing this loop. It enters at 3:56, and at the point Molly pulled into the front parking lot before she dropped the order off, the white Elantra pulled in behind Molly's vehicle. What? Wait a second. Does Molly say that? Shouldn't Molly be the one that's saying this? So when Molly got back in her car to then drive back around here to then pull in the driveway for the second time, this car at 3:56 pulls in behind Molly. Could it have been somebody dropping off Ethan and Xana? This person pulls in behind Molly. Okay. And what? Did Molly say she saw anybody? But this car just pulls in behind Molly and then backs out this way and then leaves at 3:58. And it was Brian. That's what they're telling us right here. That's what he's saying, but Molly's not saying it. Okay, ready? He's saying that the white Elantra pulled in behind Molly's vehicle, a gray Subaru Forester. That's the vehicle she has, but are you sure that that's what she had that night? And then exited the King Road at approximately 3:58. Molly did not mention seeing the white Elantra behind her at any time. Exactly. So why are you writing any of this? Why aren't you listening? Because there's no cameras that show this. There's no cameras that show that the car actually pulled into that driveway. Don't you think Molly would have seen a car pull in behind her? Like, this is wild. He's saying that he's using the camera from 1112 and the way that these lights are shining. What about a car that just would have started on the side of the road over there and left? I just, what? I continued to question Molly about her time near the residence. She told me she walked down Queen Road at one point with her flashlight out. Well, Queen Road is, why is she walking down Queen Road this way? Right? Like, what do you mean? Did you ask her where? I continue. She said she was walking down Queen at one point with her flashlight out. Is this okay? So we need this to be said because I've always said, I was like, cops have flashlights. Okay, guess who else is around that area? You know, the undercovers. I said, okay, so she's got her flashlight out. Molly can be seen doing so on the footage. Wait, Molly can be seen or a flashlight can be seen? Molly can be seen doing so on the footage from King Road. That would mean that she walks past the house with the light bulb camera here, okay? And she's in the intersection then, right? That she would have had to turn around. Because then here's the house that sits back, right? And then here's the other house. And here's another one. And then over here's, you know, they have these ones. But it sees Molly, or you're talking about lights? And what time would that have been? Why aren't you putting down the timestamp of that? Then we can understand if what Molly is truly doing over here. It seems like... So I continue to question Molly about her time near the residence. She told me she walked down Queen Road at one point with her flashlight out. Molly can be seen doing so on the footage from 1112 King Road. Molly also continued to tell me the female she saw in the upstairs bathroom window would duck down when Molly looked at her. Molly described her as having long brown hair. Well, if this person has long brown hair and they're trying to say that this possibly is Xana and she's in the third floor bathroom, why would Xana be in the third floor bathroom? The second floor bathroom doesn't have a, it's in the inside, doesn't have a, what do you call it? That's why I'm just like, or I've ruled out Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan. And so I've said, and Bethany. And I'm like, okay, this is either Dylan or Xana, in my opinion. Molly said she could not identify the girl as one of the victims. And then I was like, okay, so did you show her, like, hey, could it be Dylan? Did Dylan have her hair long down? I mean, what? Approximately 30 minutes into the interview, this is when the FBI was like, can we make sure that you're okay, basically? Um, and yeah. So what I don't understand is why on what date did you do to go get like the DoorDash returns? Like when did you put in? So okay, here, let me back up and explain this. Okay. December 1st through the 6th. DoorDash search warrant. Okay. If you interviewed Molly, though, on November 23rd, that means that what search warrant would have returned you something by November 23rd if the returns of the search warrant that we have and we've seen isn't until after this date, well after this date. Because remember, he's writing this, though, here. This is why you don't do this. He's writing this on January 10th, 2023. And so he's interjecting shit that you wouldn't, like, you should be writing this. Anything that you're writing from the material should be from your interview and nothing else. Because this is why. Now, we're going to read this part again. November 23rd at approximately 8:39, Molly came to the police department to be interviewed about her presence in the area of 1122 King Road during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. Molly was identified as being in the area through records obtained, see how it says from DoorDash, via a search warrant, and was confirmed as being in the area based off of Google geofence. Well, I call bullshit now. I don't think it was from this. I think it was just off of a Google geofence. Because let's go pull the date of when the return came back for DoorDash. Because that's when they did a DoorDash search warrant was done from January of 2021 until present day. They didn't have it yet. Like that warrant couldn't have told you anything because you didn't have it yet. So, and is this a mistake by Payne? Why he's writing this up like that? Like this has a lot of questions. That would mean that she was identified based off of her phone being in the area and being used at that time frame. Okay. Hey, we have your phone going off. What were you doing over there? Oh, I was door dashing. If you notice in any of the girls, okay, you go back to the interviews of all the girls, meaning Dylan, Bethany. None of them mention anything about Xana or Ethan ordering a DoorDash. Okay, they don't say. I always assumed that police would have been notified that Ethan or Xana ordered a DoorDash because what we always did in my house, if we were ordering food, hey, I'm going to order food. Does anybody want anything? Right? If you go and you read the girls' interviews, not a single one of them said, "Oh, when Ethan and Xana got home, they asked us about, or I heard them saying how they were going to order DoorDash." Nobody. Does Google Maps take you behind the house? Anyone check? Watch the video that kicks off. Go back all the way back to the beginning of my live. I preserved what Google does, and it does take you to the back. Takes you actually to the side. So go ahead and put down report 104. And this now is in my opinion, proof based off of actually when the DoorDash warrant came back that this could not be a way that you identified like Molly. Okay. Did you ask Molly to come in because of the geofence, the Google geofence, that her phone was pinging in the area at such and such time? So hopefully that's helping you all out. So we'll be coming back to this, because unless I can find out if there was a DoorDash, then this is what makes sense to me. After Molly says that she DoorDashed them, okay, then okay, we're gonna go get let's go get the DoorDash warrant, and then what ends up happening? That's what happens. The DoorDash warrant is sought for, and they seek out the address, and they seek out the address for because of this. But because Payne wrote up this report on 110 from something that he did on November 23rd, and he just wants to interject his bullshit, I want you just to tell me what the fuck happened here with the interview. Okay? And now it's all convoluted, especially back in here, talking about Molly being seen on a camera. Well, how do you know that that's Molly? Did you show Molly the video, and did Molly say, yeah, that's me? Because that's nowhere in here. That we had Molly identify herself. That's not here. This is just bullshit. This is sloppy. And it's inaccurate. Moving on. The interview was recorded. This is one that's going to be needing to be released. Let's see how that was all conducted with Payne and Molly. This is going to be 105. And again, this is Kohberger phone data. On December 29th, again, this was written up by Lawrence Mowry on the 10th. So on December 29th, this is what Ann Taylor wanted to find out. When did you get his phone? Let's talk about this. So on December 29th, based off of on the above information, the Latah County Court signed and ordered finding probable cause for the criminal complaint charging. We know all that. On December 29th, Brian Kohberger was arrested at his family's home. That same day, a Pennsylvania magistrate assigned a search warrant for the residence, which included his cell phone. Brian Kohberger's cell phone was taken into evidence as part of the search warrant. Brian Kohberger's cell phone device is currently in evidence at the FBI Philadelphia Region Computer Forensic Laboratory. I knew PSP took it. It's located at this address. The phone data was extracted by FBI Jeffrey Tanzola. The phone data was extracted. Okay. On January 9th, I received a hard drive from Tanzola, which contained a copy of the data extracted from the phone. Now, this is where Ann Taylor is asking, well, did the FBI look at the extraction? The reason that she's asking that is because there's an issue with the search warrant. And it did not give them the right to go into it during that period of time. And he's over there saying, Mowry, when he was asked that question, he's saying no. And how do you know that? Like, were you there? Mowry should be saying, I don't know if they looked through it. I wasn't there. So it's just funny that when he says no, I'd be like, and how do you know that, sir? Were you there? Were you up Jeffrey Tanzola's ass for the past 10 days? Were you living up in that? You have no idea, right? Did you ask him? And he told you no. That's how you know, right? Okay. That's how you answer or ask those type of questions. On January 9th, I received a hard drive which contained a copy of the data extracted from the phone belonging to Kohberger. The data is saved So they did the extraction. So the FBI did the extraction. The data is saved on that external USB drive with the serial number and is labeled as Philadelphia RCFL evidence. I applied for and was granted a warrant seeking the evidence from the hard drive. This is where it's like, exactly. I applied for and was granted a warrant seeking the evidence from the hard drive. And that's why she asked, oh, so you guys didn't go through it before that. There you go. Next up is 110 or 106 rather, and it's on this is Brett Payne writing the report on at 110, and it's for something that he did on November 13th. On November 13th, at approximately 13:49 hours, I interviewed what's that? EA at the Moscow Police Department. EA is Emily. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. January 10th, you're writing up your report. So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys, is that there is no way that anybody in this investigation would have known what this report consists of until this was wrote up to be able to, like, I mean, how are you telling somebody about, because they're watching their body cams in or whatever they use to interview the person to then type this up. Okay. So it's just like, you know, here on November 13th, I interviewed Emily. Okay, well, let's see what Emily has to say. And remember, it's crazy. This is so wild, but here. This is, I asked Emily what her relationship to the victim was. She told me Xana was her best friend and the others were all close friends as well. After I collected her information, I asked Emily to tell me about her day on November 12th. Emily started that she left for the football game and then went to see friends of hers at an apartment near hers. Again, the Whites. Emily stated she arrived at her apartment at approximately 10:30. Emily stated that she, J, H, J, and L all went to sleep early the evening of November 12th, 2022. Now, this is what's interesting, is that, like, basically Hunter was not being honest, like, because they probably just didn't want to go over there, okay, to Ethan. But he said that, okay, Hunter told Ethan that Emily was sleeping. But Emily was sleeping, and when she wakes up, you know, we'll come over there. Okay. Well, according to Emily, no, after the football game, she did not come home and go to bed because she was tired, like at 8 o'clock, like Hunter said. Emily's saying that after the football game, we went to the Whites and we were at like we were hanging out, and then they approximately went to bed. I'm sorry, is that 8:30? Why was I thinking that was 10? I thought that was a 22. So she's saying that she arrived at her apartment at 8:30. And she said that she all went to sleep early the evening. And they planned to go to the blank lodge party, but did not end up going. She woke up at 1. Okay, then strike that. If she's saying that they 8:30, because Hunter said the same. Hunter said 8. So that they went to bed at 8. And she's saying, but Hunter wasn't sleeping. That was what I was trying to say. She's saying that they all went to bed. Okay. Hunter didn't go to bed because obviously he's texting and he's saying, I'm waiting for her to wake up. Okay. Emily's saying they all went to bed. Then she's saying that they woke up around 1 o'clock and they stayed up watching TV until approximately 3. And the other guy is saying that they stayed up until 5. There's another discrepancy. And when I say the other guy, Josie's boyfriend. At which time they went back to sleep. Now, Josie, remember, she says that she doesn't initially say it, but so, like they must have done like the downloads of the phones. Josie says that, oh, my phone wasn't with me, and so I had to go out to my car and get it. And so I thought that was interesting. We haven't come to that yet. We'll probably come to it soon. So she said that she woke up at approximately, oh, what? At what point they went back to sleep? Emily stated she woke up at approximately 10:30 in the morning on November 13th. Emily stated that Dylan called her at approximately 11:51 that morning and said last night around 4 a.m. she heard and saw a man, and she wanted her to come over to check the house because she was too scared. Well, at 4 a.m. that's interesting because Brian, whoever the person is, isn't there yet. So Emily also said that she came out of her room and saw the man staring at her. That's what Dylan told her. Emily said that the man did not do anything to Dylan. Dylan said that she stayed locked in her room and heard the side door close. Oh my God. That's another discrepancy. So she ran into Bethany's room. That's why she ran into Bethany's room after the side door had closed. I asked Emily if she asked Dylan why she didn't call anyone that night. Now, this is where it gets a little crazy for me. Emily said that Dylan told her it was because she was intoxicated and didn't want to believe what was going on. I believe the whole, like, I'm drunk, I'm underage, I can't call the police, I'm going to get in trouble. That makes sense to me. Like a kid would think like that. Emily stated that Dylan told her it was because she was intoxicated and didn't want to believe what was going on. Well, what was going on? What didn't she want to believe? Dylan also told Emily the man was wearing a mask and could only see his eyes and nose. Dylan stated that Hunter went over to the house just before her. When Emily arrived, she stated she went upstairs but was stopped by Hunter, who told Emily she did not want to see it. She did not want to see it. Emily went back outside and officers responded. I asked Emily if anything seemed out of the ordinary from what she saw. She told me there was a large party at the house on Friday, November 11th, 2022. Emily said the house was a mess due to the party. Like, hey, anything that's in there, it has stuff to do with that. It's not like it's nothing on these people here, kind of thing. I mean, the house is a mess. Emily also told me she saw a knife laying on the floor at the top of the stairs when she went inside. Emily described the knife as being a steak knife. It was later determined that Hunter grabbed this knife when he entered the house. Emily stated she remained outside after she walked out of the residence until law enforcement arrived. She also stated she then came to Moscow Police Department to be interviewed. I asked Emily if she knew who would commit or she had any idea about who would commit the murders, and she stated that she did not know. Emily added that she and Xana were no longer in the sorority. I asked her if there had been any stalking behavior or recent suspicious circumstances. Okay, now let me ask you a question. He just did the Molly interview and wrote that all out, okay? On the same day, he writes out Emily's interview that he does from November 13th. Why doesn't he add in all the tidbits that he would have learned along the way? Why didn't he add in any of the tidbits like he did for Molly? Right? He didn't do that for this, right? He took the interview that was recorded, wrote it up from the recording, right? and then submitted it. Hunter says that he put the knife on the ping pong table, by the way. Dustin Blaker, 111. He's writing up something from November 13th. And I'm going to end here. November 13th, 2022, at around 2:19, I conducted an interview with, I think it's Hunter Chapman. It's really short. This is all the interview is. Hunter is a student at the University of Idaho and is a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. Hunter lives at the fraternity. Hunter told me he and Ethan went to a formal dinner with his sister. She is a member of blank sorority. The formal was at around 6. After the formal was over, they went back to blank Sigma Chi. Ethan, Xana, and Hunter were all hanging out in his apartment room at the blank fraternity, Sigma Chi. Hunter last saw Ethan and Xana at 9. When he left his apartment to go up to the main lodge where the house party was at. Hunter returned at 9:15 and Ethan and Xana were gone. Hunter stated he went to bed at around 10. Where was Ethan and Xana? The last time he saw 9:15. Now, according to Bethany, she said that they were in a different room and she saw them at like 10:30. I asked Hunter if Ethan had any issues with anyone, and he told me no. I asked Hunter if he knew if Xana had any issues with anyone, and he told me no. This is the only interview with Hunter. Hunter was not able to provide me with any further information. This is it. Now, I get it. His brother, you know what I mean? Like, he wrote that up, though, like 2 months later. Look at this. On November 11th, look at this. I conducted an interview. November 11th. No, you didn't. Look at these people. Look at Dustin Blaker. On November 11th, I conducted an interview. No, I don't think it was that day, was it? I conducted an interview on JL on November 11th. No, you did not. That did not happen on that day. This person told me she lives at, these are in the Whites. These apartments are referred to as the Whites. Jay stated that she went to 1122 King Road in the afternoon of 11/12/2022. So she gave you this information before she did it, right? Perfect. I think Dustin was pre-gaming with them. Like, jeez. Anyways, since that was a short one, here you go. So was hanging out with Xana and Ethan. Jay stated that they all went to the Whites at around 1 for the parties for the pregame at the apartment complex. Ethan left to go to his sister's formal, but this person was not sure what time that was. Jay felt she got to Xana's house at around 12:30 on 11/12/2022. Jay stated that she saw Xana, Ethan, Dylan, Bethany, Kaylee, Maddie, some other person, and blank. This person told me that she feels she last saw Xana and Ethan at around 3, but was not sure. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Blank told me she got a text from Ethan asking for the Snapchat for CG. And there it is. And now, who is CG? because that is somebody that they become interested in. He asked for the snap for CG, but she never sent it to him. Anybody have a guess who CG is? CG. Again, this interview was not on the 11th, for the record. CG. What do you guys think? It becomes being an important person. But she did not. I did not, but I never sent it to him. Blank did not know why Ethan wanted this information and stated, as far as she knew, they did not have issues with each other. Blank said, then told me where she had heard from others that Kaylee had seen a random guy behind the house when she took Murphy out to pee. Blank also heard of an incident where some random guy followed Kaylee around Winco and followed her out of the store, and she thought she tried to get into his car with all this crap, right? Blank told me she knows Xana and Ethan do like to use Adderall when they drink, but that they did not know who they got it from or if they took any on 11/12/2022. This person was not able to tell me anything else related to the case. Who's CG? Anybody? CG? CG. A report written on 1/11. Again, this is from November 13th. I conducted an interview. Ava. This is Ava's interview. Ann Taylor sees this. This is where this comes from. Ava says right here that Ava told me a few weeks ago on October 14th at around 1 in the morning, she heard what she thought was a male walk up to her door and try to open her door. Ava stated she had her double and door were both locked. Why don't we talk about how she asked these guys to come over and look in the area? No, that's not important. Ava told me she saw photos posted on Snapchat by Kaylee showing Kaylee and Maddie had been at the corner club and the grub truck. So they posted those on Snap. Ava said she saw all of the emergency lights and sirens and looked out and saw some of her friends standing outside with white blankets around them. Ava went out and brought more blankets to people outside to try and help. Ava was working at the football game that day, so she worked there with Emily and was at the game till around 8:45. Ava did not have any interactions with any of the people who lived at 1122 King Road after that. Because again, everybody went to bed early. And that's where we'll conduct class for today. You guys are going to get a double dip, though. For those of you guys that are nighttime watchers, I got you guys covered tonight. So you guys can join me back. Put this on like 2 times, 3 times speed, whatever you can do. But yeah. Wild. That is correct. Cole is the CB. But CG. Cole's right with the... Who's Charles Grodin? Someone says. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to get to the bottom of it, though. We're getting there. Teacher, will there be a quiz tonight? Yeah, oh my God, how about a quiz? How about a quiz when we kick it off? Winner gets a TNT titty shirt. Yeah. Love it. All right, you guys rock. Back here. And don't worry, Mary. The Excel spreadsheet's coming along great. And as somebody asked, so I can't wait to have these in a certain order. You will get them in a certain order, an order that matters. But yeah, it'll be tonight. Probably between 9 and 10. 9. Peace out. Much love. Over and out. Over and out.